Hi everyone, my name is Suzy Theodoro. You probably know my story by now. It's really early in the morning. Everyone else is still in bed, but I couldn't sleep, so I decided to get up and get in the shower. Sometimes I think better in the shower. It's so hard doing something like this. I've never done a video like this before. A year ago, last Saturday, my husband and I were driving through Connecticut, just on our way to Maine for the weekend. I was 38 weeks pregnant and we were really happy.
Hi, I'm Joyce the Voice, and I wrote a song for baby Suzy Theodoro. And I just want to quickly tell you about her story, if I can try to summarize it. Let's tell you a few details really quickly. She was awfully, tragically, horrifically, medically kidnapped from Middlesex Hospital in Middletown, Connecticut. Her parents were originally from Tennessee. They were not driving from Tennessee, but from New Jersey, where the grandparents live and where the young boys, her older brothers, were staying while the parents went on a weekend getaway to Maine for their last romantic getaway before having their baby, Sophia. They had a birthing plan in New Jersey all ready to go with grandparent support. And she had back pain, so they stopped just for a checkup to make sure she wasn't in labor or anything, and she was not. There was no medical necessity. However, within an hour of their arrival, they had cut Sophia out against their will and torturing them and gagging or threatening them, drugging her against their consent, like I said. Why? Because the caseworker at the hospital had a friend. The DCF caseworker has a friend who was a foster mother who wanted to have a baby girl. And this foster mother is Puerto Rican, from the same home city that the judge is from in Puerto Rico. So we don't know the connection there, but I will tell you that the judge is very much protecting this foster parent and this caseworker. And it's all very corrupt. They all belong in prison. There was no reason to steal this baby. There was no reason to take this child. There was no neglect or nothing. They make up all these different things, excuses, alibis, to cover for their crimes. They're criminal. They belong in prison. It happens all over the country. And I just met a mother. It happened at Yale New Haven Hospital in April to twin boys. I met her at the bus stop. I had a sign with me, and she saw it. She's like, "What's medical kidnapping?" I described it. She said, "Oh my God, that's what happened to my boys." The federal government pays for our, well, let me go back. Hillary Clinton, her crown jewel for achievements was the Adoption Safe Family Act, ASFA, in '97, which is the incentive program from the federal government to pay the states for each child put into foster care and forced adoption. So it's an incentive, and what happens is it became a dealership, it became a racket. And so they do this with impunity. Family court, there's no jury. In family court, the judge is not really a judge, but an administrative hearing officer, because it's an incorporated court system. It's not really a court system, it's a business. They have contracts. They are not lawful. There is no, like I said, there's no jury. They gag you. You don't have open courts where you can't even visual record. They lie with impunity. They get away with it, and it's difficult to sue them. The standard of evidence is really, really low, where lying and hearsay is admissible as evidence, where you don't have clear and convincing evidence. How can they steal a newborn that's not even newborn, it was preborn, and say that the parents were negligent, the mother was not on drugs, there was no reason for it, they were just driving through. They can't travel through the state without being harassed, without being attacked. And So basically, the caseworker said they do this to immigrants all the time. They were low-hanging fruit because they know that it's difficult to conduct a lawsuit from a different state. They know it's difficult to have visitations from another state. So then they will turn it around and say, oh, well, there's no bonding because you're not spending time with your child. So they play these games and they're criminal. They belong in prison. All of these players belong in prison. The doctor, the judge, the caseworker, the foster family. It's one
Okay,
kid.
I am live downtown Middletown. Behind me is Middlesex Superior Court. Look at that big building right there. And I'm here today because of a case involving the state of Connecticut, which is working to terminate the rights of a couple from Tennessee. They were traveling through the state of Connecticut and stopped at Middlesex Hospital.
I'm Suzy Theodoro with XBAB, American Underground Church, reporting on Peter and Suzy Theodoro. Connecticut Department of Children and Families, DCF, took immediate custody of a baby that had just been cruelly, viciously, and illegally ripped from her mother's womb, 1 hour after the unsuspecting couple had trusted a local hospital emergency room for a checkup. They had been traveling. This was done with no formal charges ever filed against the parents.
Hi, buddy. Good job. Hi, Silas. He's a big boy. Hey, honey, what are those potatoes going over there? Can you get those up, please?
I meant to plant them, but I never got around to it.
Silas! Hi, buddy. We're having some water play times. Hey, honey, can you run get that little boat that we have in the pool over there? The little green boat that was in the pool? Yay! Good job, buddy. Silas, hi. Honey, can you take
Sebastian.
You didn't come in this part? Okay, let's go. Come on. You ready? Mommy's a little wide these days. You want to go down this little slide, buddy? You want to go down the slide? Okay, go ahead and go. Okay, Mommy's going to be right after you. She's going to come right after you. Okay. I don't know if I can fit in there, little buddy. Hold on. I don't know if this can hold me. Okay. Here we go. Silly boy. Whoosh. Oh. It was a wild ride, honey. Yes, silly boy. Okay, come on, let's go. Okay. Okay, come on, let's go. Can your mommy help you? Good boy. Good job, bud. You're a big, strong boy. You want to go down the little slide, buddy? Honey, say hi. Okay. Mommy doesn't fit in here. Like this? Okay, good boy. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'll see you at the bottom. I'll see you at the bottom. Silly boy. Woo! Oh, Mommy's getting too old for this, little buddy. Yeah? Okay. Sebastian, do you want to go up the rock wall? This is really cool. You want to try it? Okay. It's like the one we have at home, but bigger. Okay. Can you make it? 8, 9. Did you make it? Did you scrape your leg, little buddy? You okay? Good job! 10, good job!
It's vacant.
What'd you see?
Look,
Oh yeah, it just cracked a little bit. That's okay.
it cracked it.
Yeah, just sometimes old wood will crack a little bit like that. Hopefully it can still hold us.
Look at it.
Yep, just like that. Good job, buddy. Okay. All right, let me see if I can get up here.
I can remember being so happy, finally getting to have a girl. And I decorated her room and bought her all of these little pink things, you know. We stopped at the hospital for some back pain. And they just started attacking us. One thing after another, after another, after another. They said they didn't believe we were from Tennessee. They said they thought we could be criminals running from the law.
So what did you mean when you said, I like to prescribe stuff to myself?
Well, because I was trying to relate to you because you're in med school and sometimes we think as medical people that we can take care of ourselves and we
We
can't.
don't prescribe things to ourselves,
Okay.
and I couldn't prescribe anything to myself even if I wanted to. So I feel like that's very offensive for you to tell me that.
I'm sorry you felt that way.
You can sign or not sign whatever you want, and you certainly have the right to get legal counsel if you see fit. I'm just explaining to you what my job is. You can respond to my job however you want. I'm not going to tell you that you have to talk to me. You have to sign releases. You have to do it. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you what the report was, what the concerns are, and is there a way we can work together to move forward. If you're telling me there isn't a way, then I have to be honest with you about what that alternative is.
So just because we told you that we have children in another state, now you have to go harass my mom.
Not harass, but check on them, yes. I can tell you that's a directive I'm going to be giving, so I'm just being honest with you.
In what way have we indicated that they're not safe? Did I test positive for a drug test? In what way did we indicate that they're not safe?
You haven't indicated that they're not safe. We need to
Then how can
ensure
you
that they
demand-
are.
How can you demand from us that we show it to you?
I'm simply asking for your permission to contact your mother. If you refuse, then you refuse, and then all I can do is go back and report that to my supervisor. I can't force you to do anything. I can't tell you have to do this. You can only do what you're willing to do for me. But what I'm trying to be clear with both of you on is if that's not how you want to, the road you want to go down, I want to be as clear as possible that I can go back to my supervisor and say, Mom and Dad are not willing to sign releases for anything. Mom and Dad are not willing to allow the department.
They're not legal people. I mean, I don't know what kind of these releases, like I read all kinds of stuff about safety plans and stuff and how they do all kinds of terrible things to you. They say if you don't ever sign a safety plan, and if it says it's for 30 days, then it will drag it on for 6 months and do this and do that. And
Well, certainly safety plans are put in place with the incision in a couple days after the medication wears off.
if we need to get her an appointment somewhere close by, I guess we could just stay there for a few days.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, what would it, it's hypothetically, if you didn't even have this situation, how long would it take you to drive back to Tennessee?
16
About 14 to 16 hours, yeah.
We wouldn't be able to, I mean, obviously we can't drive all back in one shot.
Right,
We would.
right.
So, I mean, it would be nice if we just fly home now. So,
You can't still.
I don't know what the rules are as far as
You
post-section.
still
Yeah.
can't. You'll have to wait 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know what that rule is.
I think you'd have to wait till your 6-week follow-up.
yeah. I don't know
Very-
if the airplane rule is. But I guess that's really just where the concern comes in, is making sure that when the two of you leave this hospital with your baby, that the baby's gonna have an appointment scheduled, that you have a safe place to go to. And part of what my job is just to confirm. I don't know you or your family.
very honest.
What do you feel like they're not being honest about? What's in the
She
report,
said that
or?
we're not planning on having a pediatrician, that all these things, that didn't happen.
No, we need to know what the pediatrician is. Right. Dr. Gofundme went over that when she was in here. I forget what she said.
She didn't show us a pediatrician yet.
Okay.
We didn't know that we had to have one.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
So were your two boys, were they born in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Was it, do you remember how it was when they were born? Like, did the hospital want a pediatrician
we didn't have
identified before they were?
at the time.
They weren't?
We got one later.
Okay.
Where? That's where?
They just referred us to whatever pediatrician that took care of them that day.
And then who did they see when they were discharged for follow-up weeks and all?
The same doctor that took care of them at the hospital was the same one we went to until we found our own pediatrician.
So when they were discharging you guys, did they have an appointment set up for you to go to that doctor within the week? Because usually, I mean, it's usually even in like a couple
Yeah, it's
days.
usually within 24 to 48 hours of discharge.
I don't remember you.
The first one we took him maybe like, I don't know, some said we took him a week or two later, I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe it was. The first one was about a week later. The second one, it
The
was.
second one, we missed a couple of appointments because I had a bleed from my spinal, and I couldn't take him. We didn't miss the appointment; we had to reschedule. So he was supposed to go a couple of days after, but they said that he could go. I think it was the next week. It was no
But
problem.
from what you can remember, walking out of the hospital, you knew you had an
Yeah,
appointment
they had-
that was scheduled
yeah.
to go.
Well, the first child, we didn't have any scheduled appointments.
They just gave us. I think they just gave us information
Yeah,
for the
they just
pediatrician.
gave
They
us
said
a
call
sheet
them and
that
schedule an
had-
appointment.
It had names on it and stuff. And the second one, they did the same thing, and they asked us if we were going to use the same person. And,
So, you know, I don't know how the laws run state to state, but in Connecticut, in order for the baby to be discharged with you, that appointment would have to be identified with a pediatrician and a scheduled appointment, you know, 2 or 3 days at the most, 2 days after discharge.
instead,
Yep.
So that they
we
can,
don't live here.
I
Yeah,
know,
so we're gonna have to figure
so
that
that's what we have to,
I
I
mean, we
guess,
can make an appointment. We have insurance. I think so, but I don't know if my insurance will work.
I don't know if it'll cover you here. It's out of network.
I have to pay out of pocket.
I figure out what was going on that you didn't.
So attacking me and saying that I prescribe things to myself.
No, that's
See,
not
people
what
are, like, online it said that, like, all the stuff about PPS and people that do drugs. Did you do a drug test on me when I got here?
I believe your physician. I am not your physician. I am the baby's. So I believe your physician did. It's standard protocol for us for any mother that
So
presents
if you had
bleeding
done
or
a drug
any of
test, you
that.
would see that I don't take any drugs. So,
But I wasn't. We weren't looking for drugs. They were looking for the medications you're taking for your own health, like your propranolol and your metformin and those kind of things. They need to be able to prescribe you the correct drugs and doses while you're a patient with us.
I just don't understand, like, this is what,
Because if
this is
you-
what I can see on it. These people are attacking us just because we're driving through and now they want to take our baby. So now you want to go back to Tennessee and take my other children as well.
so let's just put it in this perspective. If you lived in Connecticut, okay, and you came in and you delivered your baby, and the same issues were going on, you weren't really giving much
Because if you
information.
can say that, you know, that I didn't do whatever it is you feel like is proper with this child, then it says online, I don't know anything about legal things, and I guess we're gonna have to find somebody to help us with, like, you know, it says online, you know, if you're able to, like, if you say that you don't think you did what was proper with this baby, and you want to take her from us, and somehow you get a court order to do that, then you can just take her other kids just like her. Well, it's just that easy to take our other children just because you took this one.
It's not that easy, and I really wish you didn't read as much as you read online, because it's not, a lot of it is not accurate. We don't just go in and take children.
I don't really feel comfortable talking to you right now because I feel very drugged, because I just had drugs.
I know, you've
And
been
I
through
feel
major
like we're
surgery
being
right now.
attacked right now.
You're not being attacked. My job is just to try and figure out the information that's in the report, what's accurate, what's not. It's, you know, Friday afternoon, it's going to be a long holiday weekend. The baby will be discharged. So in order to ensure that the baby can go home with you, there are certain things that have to be in place for that to happen. Whether it's you, the woman next door to that, the procedure is the same for all women.
They told us they had gone out to the car and found our car with Tennessee plates in the parking lot, and that it was messy, and they believed that we were actually Connecticut residents living out of our car and didn't get prenatal care. It's just, you know, when you go into a hospital, you believe that the staff there are going to help you, that they're, you know, they would be supportive and compassionate, but they weren't. You just don't expect people to, like, to start attacking you and claiming that you're all these things that you're not, that they have no proof of, and then just drug you against your will just so they can force a surgery on you to cut your baby out of your body so they can steal her. It's just something that you would expect to see in, like, a horror movie. It doesn't really seem any different than, like, those people who answer, those pregnant women who answer Craigslist ads and for, like, free clothes or something, and then it turns out that the person just when they get there, they just end up, like, knocking them out and cutting them open and stealing their fetus. That's basically what they did. As soon as they had the baby out, they had this DCF worker in our room saying that she was going to take our baby, and then we just kept asking her why. She couldn't give me a reason. She couldn't give us a reason. They kept calling me drug addict. I said, I'll go ahead, I'll fill out the forms for you, I'll do whatever you want. They said that they wouldn't, by the time, like, all this stuff happened, they couldn't get the forms in until the next Tuesday because it was a holiday weekend. They refused to let me have my medicine over the weekend. They tortured us. They were very cruel to us. They were verbally and physically abusive to us. They refused to let us leave our room, except for during approved feeding times. They took our daughter from our room against our will, saying that her sugar was too low, but it wasn't true. They said that we didn't see her for the first 30 hours. She was in our room for the first 12 hours. It was just from the very beginning. They had planned, they had decided that they were going to take her, and they were just going to say whatever necessary to do it. And we were just completely clueless. We had no idea what was going on. They don't do stuff like that in Tennessee. It's practically unheard of to take somebody's newborn from them unless they have positive drug tests or something, unless they're incarcerated. We didn't believe we just didn't believe it. We were just in disbelief the whole weekend of what was going on. It was just a nightmare. You just don't expect people to treat you that way because they, you know, they don't like how you appear with your, you know, your husband who is not the same race as you or whatever.
Okay.
We went to this, we teleconferenced into this hearing last week, just before Sophie's birthday, her first birthday. And the ex-attorney that we had, it was so hard believing anything he said because he would shoot back and forth between, he would say it was one way. First he said we were on trial for predictive neglect, then he said we were on trial for sleeping during her feedings, then he said we were on trial for predictive neglect, and he never even, it seemed like he never knew. When you walk into a hospital, you are literally putting your life in these people's hands. You're putting your life in their hands, and they're asking you to trust them, and you're trusting them based on an oath that they took to do no harm. And we trusted these people.
Yes, they are.
And it was the worst decision that we've ever made in our entire lives. And by the time that we realized that they were terrible, bad people, they wouldn't let us leave. Who has the right to force a C-section on somebody that doesn't want it? That you were not this person's doctor. They literally just did whatever they wanted. It didn't matter that I didn't consent. It didn't matter that we didn't consent for anything. They did with our daughter, they did with me, they did whatever they wanted. And you just don't expect when you walk into a hospital.
Family court. In family court, it's a judge. So it's a different type of scenario. So normally our judicial process has a jury. I'm gonna switch this so we're both on, so like we're talking together. So normally the judicial process is that you have a jury trial, but in family court it's just a judge.
Just a judge, and the standard of evidence is hearsay, a preponderance of evidence, or hearsay. So basically any amount of lies, which the caseworkers do with impunity, because they don't get in trouble. They don't get, perjury is acceptable in family court. And even if you have evidence that somebody is perjured in court, the judge decides not to listen to it.
So the judge is the jury. The judge is the judge and the jury in family court. Yes. This is something that I think a lot of people don't realize about family court. And the best interest of the child and all that is determined by the best interest of the child is determined by the judge.
The bar of evidence is really low. Hearsay is admissible, whereas clear and convincing evidence, there's different levels of evidence, and criminal court has the clear and convincing. So if you're going to remove a child from the parents, shouldn't you have a jury?
Yes.
Shouldn't you have clear and convincing evidence?
Yes.
Well, they're talking about a permanency hearing now because they're refusing their psychiatric eval because they must be crazy because they went on social media.
Okay.
And now their own statutes say 18 months, but it's only been 11 months.
So the state of Connecticut is moving this Thursday. The state of Connecticut is going to have a hearing here at the court. Now, I'm busy on Thursday, but that's probably an open hearing. Is that, or do you know?
Most of the court cases are closed. They, if you could sneak in as a court watcher, but a lot of times the judge will kick you out.
Okay. So let me get. This is the way it's happening. So without any real hard evidence, without a jury, without proper due process, this family from Tennessee is about to lose their child for 7 months, right? Correct? Is 7 months?
No, last November.
They haven't had their baby. How long has it been?
Since the baby was born.
And when was the
3
baby
days
born?
old. Oh, in November last year.
So it's almost been a year that this child has been in the state of Connecticut's custody. And now on Thursday, they are moving to strike their parental rights and adopt the baby out.
There's the permanency hearing, so I'm not sure what will be determined, but we're trying to, you know, let the judge know that we see what's going on.
Yeah.
That we're not going to keep silent and we're not going to allow them to be gagged, because this is crazy what happened.
Yeah.
It happens to way too many people, and we know what happens here.
Yeah.
We know because the caseworker even said it happens here.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a GoFundMe campaign if you're watching this video. There's not a lot of press on it. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to come down here and talk about it and spread this case out there, because this is really disturbing information that a little baby could be taken by the state of Connecticut with, you know, it's circumstantial evidence. They don't really have anything.
There's nothing, there was no parenting class. I mean, what kind of parenting classes did they even offer when they decided to take the baby? I mean, oh, they said, oh, you don't have a pediatrician. Every excuse that they can find, they tried to give. You don't have a pediatrician to do a follow-up for 3 days. Well, because they're here in Connecticut and they can find one, or they can just go back to New Jersey where they had a birthing plan, which is 3 hours away. So they wouldn't let the grandparents in New Jersey, because again, it's out of state. The state will lose money if the baby leaves Connecticut.
So you get that, guys, that because this couple is from out of state, they're like, it's almost like they're in a different country. In the state of Connecticut. They basically lost their constitutional rights to due process. They, what are the official
state, right?
Yeah, the Constitution state, Connecticut. Come on, what is going on here? So how is it that our state here, in my city, here in Middletown, where I know this city so well, could just literally do that? Take a little infant away from a family, a loving, caring family, with there's no substantiated physical evidence of abuse. It's just the state is saying, what, she couldn't change a diaper?
And how does this doctor get away with doing it? It's a female doctor. How does she get away with doing this? Why?
Yeah.
What kind of woman would do this to another woman? What kind of woman caseworker would do this to another woman?
I want to say,
I don't know.
Do they believe that? Are they in their
really
mind?
I don't know.
One of the things that we talked about earlier was predictive neglect. Tell me a little bit about predictive neglect.
Predictive neglect is essentially witchcraft, but Connecticut allows it. And it's meaning that you're going to be committing a crime because of circumstantial evidence. It didn't happen yet. So they're predicting that you're going to be neglecting your child. So it's like, so if you have maybe if you have a 6-pack in your refrigerator, they can say that your kid, I don't know, that's a bad example. I can't even think of an example, because it's witchcraft. It's like they're going to say that you're going to do something to your child, but there's no proof that you're going to do something to your child, or that you even have. You're supposed to be guilty, like proven guilty, innocent until guilty, and with predictive neglect, it's like you're guilty of something you didn't even do yet, never mind having to prove your innocence. It's messed up, but it's allowable in Connecticut. But although there are case laws across the country, the predictive neglect in criminal cases is absolutely a no-no, but not in family court.
But not in family court.
Not in Connecticut, not in Middletown.
So in the way that it works in family court needs some serious reform. And I hope that if you've never experienced family court in your life, that you never ever absolutely have to. But this particular case is so scary because this family could potentially lose their child because the state wants to adopt this baby out. And there is financial incentive. I know this is really hard for a lot of people to believe. Why would that happen? People just don't. Wow, why would that happen,
they have
right?
A gorgeous home. They had a beautiful room set up for Sophia. They live very, very nice in a very nice neighborhood. I know the neighborhood that they're in. And the baby Sophia is with a couple that working around the clock. And as soon as the baby turned 6 weeks old, they had the baby in daycare.
So the state of Connecticut took a baby from a loving family to put that child into a foster care system, and the foster parents work full-time and put the infant in daycare at 6 weeks old. And for some reason, the state of Connecticut seems to think that's better than the child being with their loving family. And because the parents are originally from out of state, they are like refugees here in Connecticut with no rights. And the state of Connecticut is refusing to allow this baby to go back to to their home in Tennessee, and instead are trying to keep this baby and adopt this baby out against the parents' wishes. Yes. This is an epic tragedy. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here and that you're bringing attention to this, because people just don't know about it. I think people don't want to believe it. It's hard to believe. It's like, it's a sensational story. Oh, that can't be true. I've heard people say that. I've read through the thread. Oh, how could that possibly happen? That doesn't happen. But it does. It's happening too much. I see these cases a lot happening across the country, from medical kidnap to a case like this where they're just, they come in from out of state. So yeah, this is a strange story. So we're going to just, you're driving and you're having your baby and we're going to keep it. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't travel when you're pregnant?
You just don't expect them to start attacking you and trying to hurt you. Who would ever believe such a thing? That is exactly what they did at this Middlesex hospital. And it sounds like they've done it a lot before, and they've been getting away with it for a really long time. It's just terrible. They've been doing this for so long in Connecticut. Everybody there just thinks it's like, it's like a normal thing, but it's not. It's not normal to steal people's children and start claiming all these things that you have no proof of. It's just very wrong. What they did was a crime. Holding us there against our will, forcing the surgery on me to take our daughter out, and then stealing our child. What they did was a crime. And now they're all doing everything they possibly can to cover it up. They even have the governor's office in Connecticut calling up news stations in Nashville, Tennessee, telling them that we're scam artists and that we made up the whole story just to defraud the internet for money. Meanwhile, our poor daughter is living with these horrible foster family people that are incredibly abusive. If anybody watched the video of her, she refused to use the vented bottles that we bought for her. The social worker, we just noticed that she was having these terrible intestinal distress. And the social worker was like, if you don't like it, then you can just buy her some bottles. So we went out and bought her bottles. And then we went to the pediatrician office. She literally refused to use them. And then she and the social worker started bullying the pediatrician about why she shouldn't have to feed our daughter with vented baby bottles, and that she can go off and get some on her own, or and then we told them about how we had told them from the beginning about how she, our other two children had to take sensitive formula. We had begged them to give her that, and they didn't listen to us. So she had been incredibly uncomfortable up until this point. She was about a month old during that visit, and he finally said, yeah, it's okay, she can have sensitive formula. And the woman said that she couldn't get out to get the sensitive formula until a week later because she needed to get WIC coupons to get it for free. And then not a few months later, she was posting on Facebook about her Michael Kors and Coach bags and all these things about how, the integrity of the seams. And she's getting paid $55 a day to take care of our daughter and doing it terribly. Then they insisted that the foster family insisted that they wanted to send her to daycare at 6 or 8 weeks old. We begged them not to send our daughter to daycare. We told them about how fragile her immune system was, and how it's just terrible to send your kids to daycare at that age if you have to. But we are her parents. We didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything to deserve this. And sleeping through 2 feeds at the hospital does not condone child neglect. If that was true, every woman in this nation would have their children taken away from them at birth for sleeping during feedings while at the hospital recovering from surgery for child neglect. That doesn't make any sense. These people are stealing our children and selling them and giving them away to their friends. This foster mother is a state employee. She works for the state in the same court district, the same court system as the judge. She and her husband are like head stewards of the workers union in Connecticut. And not only is she from the foster mom, not only is she from the same city in Puerto Rico as the judge, but their families are apparently friends. I mean, how is any of this fair? They're never supposed to have any subject matter jurisdiction over our daughter, yet they've had her for the past year. We've been fighting tremendously to try to get her back, and nobody knows what to do, and anybody who does know what to do is terrified. Our ex-attorney told he was terrified to do anything about it, and then he started extorting us for money and trying to capitalize on the situation, saying that if we didn't start paying him more money, that he had become friends with a GAL who was like similar in age to him, and that he was gonna get the GAL to turn on us if we didn't pay him more money. And he never ever filed a single motion on our behalf, but he refused to withdraw. We begged him to withdraw many times. They said if he had to withdraw and not get his money, then he was going to tell the court all these terrible things about us to prejudice them against us. The whole thing is just a nightmare. We paid him nearly $5,000. It's like the hospital assaulted me, held us against our will, refused to give us my medicine, my blood pressure and diabetes medicine that I have to live. They tortured us both physically and psychologically. They refused at times to let us see our daughter. They refused to let us leave our room. They were extremely hateful and abusive. And then at the end, they stole our child. And it's been a year now. And we are living proof that what these people are doing is so wrong. We've been taking care, perfectly great, awesome, wonderful, excellent care of our 2 little boys all this time, all the while having to mourn the loss of our daughter that we barely get to see. We haven't gotten to see her since she was 6 months old in person, because they started saying that after we started complaining about them online, they started saying that we were clinically insane, that we had to be clinically, psychologically evaluated by this horrible, racist, biased man named Dr. Balducci, who, if you look him up, he has there's all this literature about all this stuff that he just put online and on these emails about how he doesn't think that parents should have the right to choose and all this terrible stuff. This Dr. Balducci guy, believe it or not, actually makes nearly twice as much as the judge. She makes $200,000 a year. He makes nearly $4, helping the DCF strip all these poor parents of their parental rights every year. It's against, they've passed laws in Connecticut that says that parents have the right to choose, and it's a constitutional right that we have to choose a health provider, a psychological evaluator for ourselves, and even for our children, but they're refusing to let us choose. They got this court order. We had already had mental health evaluations, and they lied to the judge and said that we had only had mini mental health evaluations, which, if you know what a mini mental health evaluation is, we used to do them in med school. It's like a 10-minute long little health evaluation to orient a person in in person, place, and time. It's not a real psych evaluation at all. They had no idea that that's what it was when they accused us of having that. But she bought it, and she got this court order against us, and ever since they've been threatening to have us arrested if we come into Connecticut and we refuse to see this guy. It even says so on the court order that if we don't abide by this court order and we're in the state of Connecticut, that we will face incarceration. Now they're trying to say that we've abandoned her because we haven't come back up there, even though we've been trying to get this psychological order vacated, just to say we want to choose our own provider. We don't believe it's fair that you should be able to diagnose us with whatever it is you feel necessary using your own provider that you're paying for. He's just going to say whatever you want him to say, which is what a lot of people have said about him. We read it on reviews on the internet. We have pictures of it. But we went to this hearing last week, just before her birthday. We teleconferenced in, and it was very clear. Like our attorney told us a long time ago, like, it doesn't matter if you're there, if you're not there. She's just gonna rule against you no matter what you do. And at first I didn't believe it. Like, the very first court date that we had, it was supposed to be a week or two out or something. They had like taken the baby from us, kicked us out of the hospital, and we didn't know what to do or where to go. We didn't want to leave our child in Connecticut, so we stayed there in hotels for at least a week. They told us if I just get my medical records to show that I had prenatal care and that the medicines that I were taking were from a licensed provider, that they would give us our daughter back, and I could prove that I wasn't a drug addict and everything would be fine and we'd just go home and be happy. That was never ever the case. They never intended to give us our daughter back. We stayed in Connecticut for about a week. We didn't know what else to do. Our attorney told us that the trial had been postponed, and that there was just some meeting the next day about whether or not we wanted to take their plea deal. And their plea deal was they wanted us to plead guilty. So we went into the hospital and they assaulted us, forced me to have a C-section, tortured us over the weekend, and then stole our child. And then they wanted us to plead guilty to child neglect, which is a crime in Tennessee, and we probably would have been thrown in jail. We definitely would have had our other kids taken from us. And they said that they would, if we would sign this plea deal, if we would sign no contest to this plea deal, that we were guilty of child neglect, that that they would eventually send Sophia home to Tennessee. At first they said they would send her to our family. They said they would send her to us. Then they said they would send her to our family. And then a few days later they were like, well, no, we'll send her to a anonymous foster care home somewhere in Tennessee. We were like, yeah, right. By the time it would have ever been time for her to be sent home, our children would have been taken from us, and we probably would have been incarcerated by then. So that's exactly what they were banking on. They never intended to send her home. They never intended to keep her into the deal. And why should we have to plead guilty to a crime we didn't commit just to have our child in our case sent to our home state when we didn't do anything? Since when is it a crime to drive through Connecticut while you're pregnant and stop at a hospital for back pain? Because apparently it is in Middletown, and anybody else who stops there, may God have mercy on your soul. They are terrible. They are monsters. And they'll do anything and everything they can to hurt you and take your children.
Oh no. Sophie.
All the dreams I had made from love, all the dreams I had from God above, all the dreams I had were coming true, all the dreams I had were lost without you, without you. They stole my heart, they cut my womb. I feel like Mary Magdalene staring at the tomb. My head is spinning, what can I do? All the dreams I had are lost without you, without you, without you. King Solomon, you're the one wise enough to know this woman ain't her mom. My scars can show where Sophia needs to go, back to her home in Tennessee with a loving family and our family tree, our history and legacy, no mystery. Set her free, set her free, set her free, set her free. No one loves her like we do, only you, God. Bring us justice, bring her back to us. Keep her healthy, make her smile today. We won't stop trying, but we can't do it.
Hi everyone, this is our lovely home.
Without you,
Just wanted to take a quick look through the house
without you.
to show that we have a nice home for our
Bring
daughter
Sophia
Sophia.
home. Stand for Sophia, she's your precious child. Don't let her be exiled from her family.
These are the boys'
Bring
toys.
her justice,
And the lights on.
bring her home to her
This is the
brothers,
playroom for the children.
to her mother, to her father and grandparents, and
Here's
her
the
puppy
kitchen.
too. Bring her home to her bed to safely
Silas
lie
and
her
Sebastian's
head.
placemats.
We love you, Lord. Bring
Run upstairs
Sophia
really quick.
home.
Here's our pretty couch where we take pretty pictures. Here's our bathroom. My closet. Bed's a little messy. Sorry. I'll go turn the lights out. the children's rooms. We have a gate for the stairs, and then we have another one to make sure Silas, our nearly 2-year-old, doesn't get out there when he's not supposed to. There's a children's bathroom. Here's Silas and Sebastian's room. They share a room. It's nice and cozy. Plenty of toys, cozy things. Silas loves his little couch here. He sits on that every night. Okay, here's Sophie's room. These are the decals we put up for her. Here's one of the paintings my grandfather made. He made a lot of carving, painting kind of things. This one is mine. I had originally painted it for my sister's child, and she handed it back down to me when my first baby was born. This one is my favorite. It was in my room when I was little. Anyway, that's just about it. So that's our house in a nutshell. Let's go back downstairs. Go turn the lights out. My husband's always getting on me for not turning the lights out. We ordered curtains for our door, but they never came when we first moved in. And this is a calendar that my sister makes every year at Christmas. She's pretty artistic too. This was the one she made us last year.
Out here in Middleton, protesting the abduction of a child. It's a little damp out here, as you can see. Pretty hard storm. But yeah, we're out here, guys. Come on out. We're going to be here. We're also going to be over at the hospital. Hey guys, we're over here at Middlesex House. Causing some problems. This is Cass.
Hi.
The other team we're split up into 2 different teams. One's over by the courthouse, and then we're over here holding a couple signs and passing out flyers with information about what went down.
At Yale University Hospital in Connecticut, and we have letourbabiesgo.com or group. Here we are with Susan Cobb, Kelly, and Robin Cobb. And here's my sign, Kids for Cash, Stop Medical Kidnapping. But Middlesex Hospital cuts baby from womb to kidnap. Travelers accused of being Muslim, stop Kids for Cash. All right, so we have just traveled through. We're going to continue to hopefully get reception here. And we marched through all of the food trucks with the medical staff, and we're going to go back through that crowd again. You ready, guys? You want to do it now? Better than...
For sale. Our kids are not 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 for sale.
As a national advocate, we realize now that this is the actual gateway door to the epidemic of human trafficking in which we are finally seeing exposed. If I get under your skin today, I am not sorry. as we all must have a moral compass and obligation all over the media, case after case of child murdered by foster parents, CPS workers falsifying records and even falsifying drug tests, and contracts with hospitals to medically kidnap children for requesting a second opinion. Why, you ask? Well, in 2009, according to a survey by the Leadership Council for Interpersonal Violence, over 58,000 children were given to abusers. If you wonder why there's such an opioid crisis, how would you feel if your child, young adult, or elder ripped from your safe and loving biological families was placed in danger and then placed on psychotropic drugs to silence their emotions? We must wake up. We have a fatherless nation of good fathers who love and support their children because the family court keeps them away.
So many children are taken, but 500,000 a year. It's called Title IV. It provides the money that the village lives off of, who is now raising our children. These children are not coming from neglected or abused homes. There are children who are. We all know that.
It doesn't matter when they take our children, no one will care at all. It's human trafficking, and they are suffering this war against the small. No matter what you do or say, that child's a child of God. No matter what you do or say, my child's a child of God. Our kids in foster care, the pedophiles share, they're killed and disappear. And everybody pays to take our kids away. No one will shed a tear. No matter what you do or say, that child's a child of God. No matter what you do or say, my child's a child of God. No matter what you do or say, that child's a child of God. No matter what you do or say.
This is where we do the splashes. Wow, he's a good splasher. Sebastian's a good splasher too. Sebastian, you want your ball, buddy? Oh!
We are surrounded
Good job, buddy.
by those who don't know the Father. We are also surrounded with truth from the Spirit. We are deliverers, breaking chains of bondage.
pockets for you. Say yes we are, 'cause they are a child of God. And I am a child of God. Yes I am, yes I am a child of God. Full of faith, I am a child of God.
Wow, that boy's doing a handstand, buddy. Wow, that was super cool. I took a video. That's pretty cool.
That child to child.
Say hi. Sebastian, can you say hi?
No matter what you do or say, my child to child of God.
This is how the family has to spend their time with their daughter and their sister and their granddaughter and their cousin and their niece. Mom and Dad and Sebastian and Silas and Sophia in a picture frame. Yeah, that's a family member, and she's in a picture frame because she can't come home, because she's being held in Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, which is our neighbor. We're over here, we're New York City people, New Jersey people, and Connecticut is our neighbor. We love Connecticut, but things have changed after seeing this for us, for a lot of people we know, because this is disgusting to see a family living like this. And I know this mother is crying every day in her pillow when she lays on that bed. I know she is. I can feel her pain. I know it. I'm going to bring this story as far as I can take it for this family. Sophia's grandmother, her beautiful grandmother, which is Suzy's mom, has been very sick because of the stress of what's happening to their family. And she's been hospitalized a couple of times since all this has been happening, and she's not well. And to stay well and to get well, she holds a picture of her granddaughter in the hospital. In the hospital, the only way she can see her granddaughter is like this. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. I'm sorry. Heartbreaking.
Happy birthday, dear Suzy. Happy birthday to you. Okay,
This song,
Okay, ready? One.
I was sitting home one day looking at some of these pictures online and thinking of the story and just reading up on this story and studying predictive neglect and what it means here in the U.S. and for our families going forward. And I just got this idea that came into my head, and it was almost like it went into my pen, and I just wrote it in 10 minutes. It came out, one of those songs that just came out in 10 minutes. And we found out it's more special than I knew, because there's great things that are going to happen with this song. This song, I promise you, wherever it goes, I am actually going to have it carry this story. It's going to be... on the record, I'm going to have this story. I'm going to have this story on the record. I'm going to have it written inside the CD cover. It's going to be going wherever it goes. Everybody hear that, I hope?
Money time and living is easy. The baby's coming soon to be mine. The daddy's poor and the mama, she's looking. The kids we are taking, oh,
know what to do. They're gonna terminate our rights soon to Sophia. The judge is just gonna take their side no matter what we say, no matter what we do. It's like we're helpless. We've been helpless through this entire process. When they wanted to send her to daycare and we begged them not to, and then she got RSV and was like desperately ill and nearly died in the hospital. We were only allowed to see her for like an hour and a half. And we just got lucky that the hospital even called us. Like soon after I complained, they got a court order saying that they shouldn't have to have our permission to treat her anymore. So that we have no idea what else has gone on with her, what else has happened to her. She's sick all the time. She's always got this horrible respiratory infection. She always looks very unhappy. Now she's apparently like terrified of men. God knows what they're doing to her. And we're just desperate to try to get our child back. Our little boys have the right to know their sister. She has the right to know her family. And America, we are just begging you. I don't know what you can do, but please help us. Please call the news stations and the senators and the governors. Please do anything you can to spread our story. Please help us save our daughter, Sophia. Please. We don't deserve this, and we didn't do anything wrong to anybody. We just want our daughter back. Please.
Something called predictive neglect. 10% chance that you might neglect your child in the future is all that's required for them to keep your child, any child. Imagine if it happened to you with a newborn, their long-awaited little girl. Sophia now belongs to the state. They've nearly killed her. The parents are no longer allowed to see her. They have no idea what's happening to her now. They've been threatened with jail if they tell, which they have told. I'm telling. I want everyone to tell. They've been threatened with the loss of their 2 boys and everything that they have. This is not acceptable in America. It happens every day. It happens in all 50 states. Maybe not as bad as this. Maybe it does. But it did happen to them. Once again, we need to establish our Constitution, which protects unalienable rights. Rights the government doesn't give, God gives them. If we can't protect our own children, let me ask you, do we even have a nation?